All right, we'll get a new 30-minute game going. Get the white pieces. 1e4. All right. King's pawn opening. Likely to see knight to c6. There we go. Get a ruy-lopez on the board. Go and get castled. I know the theory here dictates that if they play their knight out to e4, I think the theory is like they're not actually threatening to take that pawn yet. They need to get their bishop out and get castled first. But when they do get their knight out, I think we get our pawn out to d4. This is all instinct. I haven't actually had the time to analyze this very deeply. I think maybe the idea being if we can get our, or if they want to take here, we can pin their knight, and we're down 2 pieces for the knight. Yeah, if they take here, we can pretty safely take back or get our rook out. They take. Certainly the move is we take back, capture, and then we get our rook out to pin the knight, and the only way they can defend it is with f5. Okay, cool, because d5, that d-file pawn is pinned, and that opens up huge kingside weaknesses, so that's interesting. If we come out to here with check, does that accomplish anything for us? I don't believe so. We could come out, because then they can push g6, but this is interesting. I'm eager to find out why takes here isn't the done thing, or why knight takes isn't the done thing. Push f3. Knight's not going anywhere. I'm not super worried about king safety if we are up a piece. So let's take this knight. We'll be able to capture this pawn as well. I guess they could get their queen out too. I mean, regardless, we're going to be up a piece. Yeah, maybe this seems really, really good for us. If they want to get their queen out to defend like this, we have the very scary looking. I guess this isn't actually threatening checkmate because their light squared bishop defends. What is our opponent to do? I think they need to just give up the piece. I guess they could, like, harass our bishop for a couple of moves. So if they push, we drop back. If they push, we drop back. That's really a more advantageous position for the bishop. We're preventing castling. Not that they should be castling with this f pawn all the way on f5. But it's sort of a longer diagonal for our bishop, which seems nice. I guess the advantage of that, if they do this, then we push back, they do this, and we drop back, is okay. So let's, yeah, stop the theorizing for a moment. They reinforce their d4 pawn, which is hit by our queen. So I think we'll go ahead and take this knight. Ooh, if they want to push here. Oh, they do castle. Very interesting. So we have this check available to us. They don't have anything they can put in the way other than their rook, so I think their king needs to drop back to, what is this? h8. And then we have nasty ideas to follow. Maybe we take here? I guess now if they push here, they have check on our king, so maybe we move our king out of the way. We could drop back first. Drop back with check. Yeah, that seems decent. Yep, they move out of the way. It's not quite going to work. So we need to do something about this discover check on our king. Pawn push to d3. Checking our king. We can move a piece in front of the pawn. I don't think we have any. We could put our queen on d3 for now, but that doesn't seem like an ideal use for the queen as a blockading piece. We can move our king back to h2. And I don't like the idea of waiting to do that before they push, because then they have this nasty, they take our c2 pawn, which I prefer not to allow. Maybe we move our king back to h1 preemptively. And then, yeah, let's do that. Nice safe square for a king. And now if they want to push, it doesn't come with check. We can simply take the pawn back and create a nice little pawn chain here. I think now is the time to get developed. We're up a piece. Ideally, we'll just trade. And hopefully don't allow back rank mate. We have two powerful pieces in the back rank right now. If we can get maybe our bishop out and our knight out, we'll have all of our big hitters in the back rank. Be in a slightly better position. All right. Otherwise, I think just trading all of our pieces, we get a rook over and up. That looks powerful. Our king is a little bit exposed, and I would say in danger. They get their queen out to h4, perhaps preparing like bishop up and then queen down with checkmate. What can we do to protect against that? If we push our pawn up, they have queen down to h3. This very dangerous looking mating net, which I don't particularly care for. We could get our bishop out to f4, but it's not supported by anything. That does guard the checkmating square on h2, but we need more support. We could, oh, this is interesting. Knight over like this. Knight to d2. Yeah, so knight to d2, bishop up threatening checkmate, and then knight to f3, both hitting their queen and protecting the h2 square. So that looks decent. Let's go for that. I'm expecting to see bishop up to d6, and then we'll play knight over to f3. Unfortunately, that knight will be guarded by our g2 pawn. Another advantage of having the knight on f3 is that our bishop can come out to g5. If their queen needs more incentive to move away for some reason, we will be able to deliver that. They take, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Preventing us from being able to get our knight out over here. I think we can take here, hitting their queen and supported by our knight. So let's do that. We're not blundering back rank mate. Not yet, at least. I think they need to move their queen here. Of course, if we moved our queen off the back rank, or I guess if we moved like here, for example, not that we're going to do that. Rook down to f1. Nope, nope. Our bishop guards that square. So all these squares are guarded that they could potentially deliver back rank mate on. And we'll just want to keep them guarded. Ideally, getting our bishop off of c1 so that our rook can help patrol the back rank. Expecting to see something like, no, I guess queen up. All of these are guarded, aren't they? That's hit. That's hit. This will be hit shortly. I think they need to retreat their queen, basically. Let's see what our options are. These are all no good. This is no good. This is no good. The queen to f2 looks very frightening. We'll need to keep an eye on that, of course. Queen to e1 loses the queen. This loses the queen. Shucks. Okay. Now queen down to f1, I guess we have our bishop guarding that square. So it'd be like queen down, bishop takes, rook down, queen takes. So maybe this is a dicey position, I would say. Can we just trade queens? I mean, this is so dangerous. I'm going to look at all the spots the queen can move to. We've tried to trap queens in the past. We're not successful. I want to see if we can do it now. So let's see. So these are all guarded by our queen. Back rank is all guarded. Can't take here. E3 is open. Could move our rook back down to e2. That feels cramped. Queen over to f1, I think, forces the trade. Because if they move their queen out of the way, we have queen takes on f8, checkmate. We've effectively pinned. So here, queen trade takes, rook likely comes down, or the rook doesn't have to come down, but then we have our knight guarding the square as well. Okay. So I think, yeah, we need to force this queen trade. We come out over here. If they push, I don't know what happens, because we take their queen probably. Yeah, so let's force this queen trade. Queen to f1, nothing else threatening it. Yeah. Less than ideal, but it is what we have to do. And now, yeah, they're out of options. I think they need to take this trade. They have so few squares to move to that are not immediately losing the queen. Okay, so they take. We'll take back with our, let's say, our bishop. Seems good. And then honestly, creating an escape hatch, pushing h3 seems like a very strong idea right now. Because I don't want to get back rank mated, and it's going to take a couple turns to, I don't know, I guess we could get our knight out and then free up our bishop in that way. All right, so we're down 2 pawns. They push their own pawn. I guess could move up to e5 and threaten their pawn in that way. Seems decent. I don't see any checkmating opportunities, although I feel like we're so very close. So I think just a patient rook up to e5 seems decent. And then I would love to play h3. That is our next order of business. This is such a fragile structure. And something like bishop over to b4, I think looks really, really bad for us. So they could do bishop to b4, and they take here, then they can take this defender. Okay, cool. So we have a moment. Let's get our escape hatch. I mean, 1, 2, that's an easy way to do it. or just one. Yeah, so I think one move to create our escape hatch. Boop, just like that. And then we can get our knight out of the way. We can do something else useful with our knight. Or we could just move our knight up to F3 like this. I don't think we're really threatening anything. No, let's not mess around with it. H3. H3, easy enough. Escape hatch for a king. This looks a little bit dangerous if they want to plug up the escape hatch, but we can drop our rook further back. Oh, no, I guess we can't do that. We'll figure out where to go if that happens. Maybe knight out. No, that just... Okay, so we need to get our light squared bishop out of here. Maybe D3 looks really good, supported by this pawn, and blockading these two pawns. Gets our bishop out of the way, and then we can do like knight over to F3, and then I don't know, bishop out somewhere. We'll find a home for a bishop. So we've subverted ideas of back rank mate for now. Let's figure out what to do next. I think just trading off pieces. We are up one piece. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. Our opponent has 4. We have an extra knight over our opponent. So let's see, what can we do about this? How can we press this advantage? How do we force trades as quickly as possible? I think the first order of business is getting the remainder of our pieces developed. Oh, that's interesting. They take on H3, seemingly throwing away a piece. I'm not sure I understand this. They don't have anything that can check our king, so if we take here, how are they going to check our king? Can't come down. I mean, if they come down, then we have knight takes on F1. Our king is not obligated to go up to H2. So I think we take here, and then they don't have any ideas. Maybe they're just going to try to throw away pieces. Yeah, I mean, that looks like decent if our knight wasn't in the way. Rook takes on F1. Oh, that's interesting. Rook down. Okay. Down to F2. Maybe threatening. I don't know. They want to get their other rook in the game, I guess. We could scare them off with like rook down to E2. Seems decent. Rook down to E2. Takes. We've sort of untangled the situation. Is there, I mean, they have a million squares they could go to instead. Could pop back like this. Yeah, if we do this, they bring their rook over, and then we can get our dark squared bishop out. If they take, we can take. And they take again, and we're in sort of a dicey situation. I don't love that, actually. So knight to b3 looks like an option, but it does lead to some dangerous play. I mean, all of our other options lose the knight, and I think we do need to develop this piece. I guess here's a nice thing. We could develop our knight to e4, and if they take, then we have rook takes on c5. It's kind of a neat idea. So out, they take, we take. I guess then they have takes, and then we can't get our dark square bishop out of the way now, so that doesn't work. Gosh, I think I just need to move my king over to g1, because I'm realizing, like, no matter where we move this knight, we lose protection of the f1 square. So we need to add another defender to f1, and I think... Yeah. The ways to do that are king to g1, or rook down to e2. And I guess king to g1 runs into d3, adding a defender, and then that looks really nasty for us. So I think we need to come down to e2. Yeah. I'm guessing rook over like this. And then we're in sort of a very similar situation. Oh yeah, this is nasty. I guess we could move up like this, and then our king can get out this way, but that runs into bishop to d6. Okay, they get out of the way. Wonderful. Um, Now let's honestly, I think we need to fianchetto this bishop because there's no other way we're going to get it out in time. Um, Up and then over. Yeah, and that adds another defender to the f1 square. Okay. Double up their rooks, and then now we have bishop to c2, getting our bishop out of the way. We have 1, 2 defenders, and they have 1, 2 attackers. Okay, cool. All right, I think we're out of the woods for the time being. They move to d6, maybe preparing an idea like down takes down, and then over here, I guess, isn't quite checkmate because we can get over to g1, but it looks very dicey for us. Is there anything we can do about that? I mean, we can take this. There we go. Yeah, we can take this pawn and defend the f2 square. That looks pretty good. So now they can't come down to these dangerous areas. Almost got our position unstuck. We could come here with check. King comes out. Rook over with check. I don't think we get anything from there. Hmm. Could force this. Rook trade. No, that doesn't look like any good. Bring our bishop down to g1. Does that do anything? I want to maintain control of this f2 square. Yeah, I mean, that looks decent. Ugh. Tight position. can we do? We could double up our rooks on the E file, and then rook up to E8 looks really good, pinning this rook into place. If they push this pawn, I think, yeah, we have takes, hitting their bishop. And if they push that pawn, we have up here hitting their bishop. Or I guess even better, up here, because then if they come down, we can trade. Maybe we just double up our rooks. Double up on the E file, rook up, forcing a rook trade. If we can trade one set of rooks, I think we'll be in a much better position. I guess we could force that. No, not yet, because then they take, we take, and then they take, and then we've lost a piece. Okay, so I think rook over to E1. Let's double up. They push here. I like taking much better. But I like this idea of knight over to C4. Yeah, knight over to C4, and then where do they go? Like here, here. Those are all sort of one move threats, and I think the doubled up rooks in the E file with a threat of rook to E8 is much more forcing. Okay, they open up an escape square for their king, so we can move up here, threatening their king. Yeah. So let's do that. We just want to trade pieces off because why do we want to trade pieces off? Because we're up a piece. You're simply up a piece, and if we can, the more pieces we can trade off, the better. So I'm seeing here maybe takes, 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 and then we're in, I don't know, we're in a much better position. They have more advanced pawns, but both of our kings are in the corner, and I think up a minor piece, even if it's a knight, I think we'll be in a decent position. Knights are sort of unwieldy to have in an endgame, but with 16 minutes on the clock, we'll have time to do the math. And I want to look out for any other ideas. Like, what else can we do with our bishops on F1 and G1? Those are not ideal spots for the bishops. Bishop to H2, maybe forcing this bishop trade, because they can't come over. Or where else are they going to go? Oh, that's interesting. So I think, yeah, trade off this set of rooks. That is bad for our opponent. They got to take back somehow. We could get our bishop out of the way, hitting their rook, and then potentially, gosh, I don't know. They take back with their rook. Okay. So I think this leaves us bishop to G2, forcing the bishop trade. They can't go here. The only other square they have left is E7. So let's trade here. Oh, this loses us a piece. It's takes, takes. Rook comes down to F2. We move up, and then they take our knight. But then it's a rook and a bishop against a rook, and I like our odds there. Yep. We have to take the trade. They'll come down to F2. Yep, well done. Let's activate our king. King to G3 seems like the best option. We have the opportunity here to check our opponent, but I don't think that accomplishes anything. We could, check, probably moves. I would guess out is what I would do, and then maybe we can check them again. Yeah, let's go ahead and throw in this check. Check here. Out, yep. Maybe just up so they can't steal all of our pawns. Or we could move up to f7, check, supported by our bishop. I think rely on this structure to make sure we don't lose all of our pawns. And then just start hoovering up pawns. I think that might be advantageous. So let's pick up some pawns. I'm going to be careful here. They are close to promotion, so I want to be careful there. Maybe we move down here, so it's harder. It takes more turns for them to... I guess depending on where the king moves, because we do need our bishop supporting our rook. Their king moves like out of the way this way. Yeah, so we can move here to 1, 2, 3, make it take them more turns to take our pawns. Yeah, that looks good. And then we'll take a bunch of their pawns. Got here, we've got here. This is all looking decent, and we just have to be very careful that they don't promote a pawn because they have these advanced pawns on d4 and c5. I wonder if they like took here, takes, put, oops. Nope. Push, takes. They can maybe get their king involved. And maybe push something. Like king down, push, takes, takes. No, that wouldn't be possible because we'd have a pawn here if they pushed that first. I'm thinking like a rook sacrifice followed by a pawn push. They're so close to promoting. I can almost see how it would play out. Yeah, so let's take this pawn. We just need to take as many pawns as possible. We have a good blockade pretty much everywhere. They try to push this one. We have over and down. Over here, we have our king and this pawn as defenders, so I'm not worried about that. Great. Okay, so we'll take this pawn as well. Okay, I'm feeling more comfortable. All of our pawns are well defended. We can come over here, come over to h7, snap up this pawn, even if it moves. All right. And we're up 3 points of material. Now we're even on pawns, and we're just up a full piece. So I was a little concerned when we had, when our opponent had snapped up a number of our pawns, but here I'm feeling a lot better. If they want to, I don't know, push this pawn, we'll take. If they want to push this pawn, I'm not worried about it. Yeah, not a lot of options for our opponent here. They want to try to move back. We have rook check, and then rook picks up this pawn. Okay, they push. Which one of these pawns are we gonna get? So if they push, if we come over here, push this pawn, we have takes, 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 and then our king can sort of motor over to wherever it needs to be. We come over here, they have push. That comes with check, so then like king up. That could be dangerous. So I think, yeah, we do this one, so they have to push here. Well, no, actually, none of these work. So I think we just need to push this pawn. So if they push, it doesn't come with check. It seems right. And now if they take, we can take back, no problem. That does open up rook to h2 check. It's not an issue. Wonder if we could bait them into, like, if we moved our king up one, it opens up. If we can move our king up one, it opens up rook to g2 check. And we could get out of the way, and then maybe if they don't move either of their major pieces, we get this nice fork of the king and the queen, or the king and the rook. I guess they can move their king out of the way, and they'd pick up our rook. Yeah. Okay. Move to attack the rook. They want to move back. I guess they could push. Oh, tough luck for our opponent. We get the fork that we've been dreaming about. Maybe. No, I think we just have to take it. We take, move up here, come over here. I think we get our rook out of the way first. Let's get our rook out of the way first. Yeah, let's get our rook over here. And then we can... They want to push. Oh, no, they don't take it. Okay, so we'll get out of the way. That's fine. Hopefully they'll push. Honestly, here we could also just take this pawn. Okay, they push, and that's the end of the game. We pick up their rook. It's good to fight towards the bitter end, but I think we just have such a strong advantage here. Yeah, and then we can rip up one of these pawns up the A file, no problem. Maybe move our rook over here so that their king cannot. Yeah, our opponent resigns. That was really well fought. I think our opponent played a great game there, even down a piece. They had a really strong attack. Let's take a look at the analysis. I'm curious to see how these book moves go. Right, d4 is the last book move, and then knight takes is a blunder. Probably because of what we saw. We have knight takes knight, pawn takes knight, rook to e1 is the move that pins the knight to the king. They have f5, and then we have f3. And I wonder if there's a different way we could have followed this up. Oh my gosh, what is this? Total nightmare. I have no idea what that was. I didn't like any of that, and I don't want to see another 7-move combo that the engine suggests. It's just not happening at my rating. F3 is good enough, and we pick up that piece. Yeah. 4, h8. King to h1 is a mistake. I wonder how black could have punished this. So this puts... This is another baffling combo. Let me see. h1. How does this work? King to h1. They're able to take. And then why don't we take with the rook? because they can fork us. I see. Yeah. And then we lose the piece back. Okay, so we can't take with the rook because they have d4 in response because, yeah, their d pawn is no longer pinned. Okay, they didn't see that, and we gain our advantage back. No problem. Now the sting of f takes e4 is no longer there because the d5 push wouldn't be supported by their queen on d8. Okay. Strong attack from black. I'm glad we forced that queen trade. I think that was the right move. And it looks like we didn't make any substantial blunders to really weaken our position. I thought our opponent obviously played very well, but we were able to trade off the remainder of our pieces. I am glad that bishop to g1 was best. That was felt like a very strange move, but guarding that f2 square felt critical. Yeah. Okay. Trade pieces, force that trade. H2 was good. I guess throwing this check in would have been better. Okay, that's good to know. Oh, that's interesting. So check first, king moves, and then takes. That doesn't seem to do anything super different. Okay. Let's look at the rest of the game. Yeah, and we just start hoovering up pawns. I thought d3 was a strong move. So if we just start picking up pawns here, then they have, yeah, rook takes, rook takes, rook takes. Oh, I guess they don't have that because then they lose the rook. Some like waiting move, rook takes, and then I think we're in a slightly worse position. I mean, we still have a crushing advantage, but yeah, that's good to see. Okay, h4 was excellent. Yeah, a well played endgame, I think. h1 is an inaccuracy, permitting bishop here. I wonder why not king over here. Oh, because then we have check, and then yeah, so they're in trouble over there. And then we pick up the rook anyways. Okay, so we could have played that immediately. But we got the fork off after a fashion, and our opponent resigns. Cool. Good game. Well fought by our opponent, even down a piece at the beginning. I'm glad my theory study led me down the right path of playing d4 here. And obviously knight takes d4 is a blunder because it leads to this situation where we were able to pin their knight to their king without too much of a hassle. Cool. All right, I'm going to call it there. Have a good one, y'all.